Hey, what's happening, guys? In the last video, I made some points about why it might be a good idea to get a job as a developer or a game developer working in the field, getting some hands-on experience. Now, when you make these kind of videos, it's very difficult to cover everything and hit it from every angle to the point where everyone is satisfied. So I wanted to just kind of iron out a few of the points I made and also address some of the comments that came up in that video. Perhaps most notably, a lot of people were interested in knowing how do you actually get a job in the field. So I'm going to offer some strategies and tips that I believe you can use if you're interested in taking that path. All right, let's get into it. I had one commenter bring up this notion of success, how it can be found without, dev job experience, referencing Eric Barone, the developer of Stardew Valley. For those who don't know, Stardew Valley was perhaps the most impressive and lucrative hit of the last 10 years in the indie space, netting the developer millions upon millions of dollars, fame, and just becoming like a folklore legend in the industry. Of course, it goes without saying, you can find success in any field without directly working in it, especially in a field that benefits from creative flair. And I would make no claim to the contrary. Flappy Bird, Stardew Valley, these are unicorn events. And it's kind of unproductive to reference these. See, these events are so rare that in the dev space, these indie developers like Eric Barone or Dong Nguyen become legends. They have extensive articles written about them, invited to every festival, GDC, this, that. So to say, oh, Eric Barone never had a job, it's like, what do you want me to say to that? I mean, it's good to dream big. You should dream big. I dream big every single day. But you have to also have a realistic, pragmatic strategy that is not full of lofty ideas, but also grounded in reality. And then you can follow that path and still reach those big dreams, but you need to have a clear, coherent path. So that was the point of the previous video, to kind of offer a strategy to have that pragmatism in your life to get to that outcome. You see, prior to getting my first dev job, I was an indie developer for many years. I was completely unprofitable, but that was the nature of the Flash market at the time. Sure, I did have some wins, but more or less it was kind of like a hobby. But I was hoping to become that unicorn at that time. That was this kind of a mentality you have, right? Because you see, even in that Flash space, some people were having these kind of breakaway hits like Balloons or something, which made a lot of money. Being a very simple game. I was a self-taught coder, and I just had issues understanding how to scale up my code set. But it wasn't until I started my first job where I was able to be exposed to quote unquote real developers and unlock any semblance of true skill. And I'm still in that process, of course, because as a developer, you should be forever challenging yourself. So I could have probably continued like that as a hobbyist indie, and hopefully I would have found some kind of skill growth. Maybe, maybe not. It's unlikely, to be honest, because the things I learned, some of the concepts I learned, I just don't think I would have run into them haphazardly. Now, the market has changed a lot, and the time I describe was kind of like the times before the Unity engine, so things were a lot harder to do. We didn't really have those visual coding engines like Unity and Godot, and as a result, the end product was never as impressive as the things we can do today very quickly. The ceiling of potential was quite low. If you took any decent game jam game from now and took it back to say, 2007, it would blow people's minds. It would break the internet and you'd be an indie dev superstar. But unfortunately, the days of becoming a multi-millionaire from like a game like Doodle Jump, a very simple game, are more or less behind us. But running a Discord server with over 4,000 indie developers, I'm exposed to people's skills progression, and I can see that the same challenges exist now as did back then. Even though the tools have changed, things might be easy in some regards, but that early skill curve in the development world is always going to be there. So again, the previous video was kind of intended for people at the start of their game dev journey, kind of in that early skills growth phase that kind of want to look for that breakthrough and offering a strategy to do so. Probably less so for, experienced or senior developers who already have a lot of skills, obviously. And I did make the point, but maybe not so clearly, that any dev job in the field will yield some skills growth, especially when it's to do with coding. But I think a lot of people assumed I was referring to AAA jobs exclusively, which I was not. There was also a comment where it was claimed that it's just too hard to get a game dev job or a dev job, that there's 200 or so applicants every time they try to get a job. Now that's obviously a gross exaggeration, and how would you even know that anyway? I can't imagine they're stacking 200 people outside a room. I mean, it would take weeks or months to process that many applicants. But look, with that said, sure, for good, interesting and exciting positions at known kind of prestigious companies, yeah, there's going to be a lot of buzz. It's going to be very competitive, and typically the best of the best are going to get through the door. So at that point, you have two choices: become the best of the best, or come at it from a different perspective, maybe try a less competitive market segment. The market is very vast, and opportunities to cross-skill exist outside of just the AAA market. You have your indie studios, of course, but beyond that, you've got markets like education, advertising, and a lot of emerging markets that leverage gamification and use tools like Unity and Unreal. So though the end product might look different, the processes can be very similar to get there, and you can learn a lot. Though, it may be less glamorous if you're not working on a console game or something, but you can still learn a lot. So that's something to consider if you're looking to get into the market. It may not be a good idea to go straight for the middle, straight for the Ubisofts and the EAs, the most competitive division of the market. It might be wiser to go around the periphery and try to find other opportunities and leapfrog your way in, expanding your portfolio and the skills as you go, till eventually you are ready to knock on that door in the middle. If you have no skills or experience and you're trying to get a job at Blizzard or something, that's probably not going to necessarily work out. And to have a chance at landing any notable position of worth, you have to bring your A game. You can't be a level 0 going in expecting them to get you off the ground and teach you everything. No, you have to come in with an existing level of self-realized competence and experience. And how do you get that? Well, you make your own mini projects. You take part in game jams. You make a portfolio of highly polished, small experiences. They don't have to be games. They don't have to have complete game loops. One level, vertical slices, whatever you want to call it. So the objective is to make yourself an opportunity to any particular employer. It's like when people write on their applications and resumes, I would like this job so I can expand my skill set and reach my full potential. It's like nobody cares what you want to achieve in that context. It's about what you can bring to them. Now remember that, because that is what it's all about. That is everything. What value are you bringing to the table? Because somebody is getting those jobs after all. Somebody is bringing that value. And it might even mean contacting and pitching yourself to companies that aren't necessarily advertising jobs, because then you have no competition. You are the only one, perhaps at that particular time, contacting them. And I think you'll find that any company, even though they're not advertising, they will always consider making room for immensely talented people. But you have to be that talented person and make your portfolio visually interesting, because humans are very visual creatures. And even if you're going for like a coding or engineering position, it doesn't hurt to have some kind of eye candy kind of sprinkled throughout. And of course, make the code nice and clean, well formatted, linted, put it up on GitHub so they can open the hood and see what you're capable of. Another commenter mentioned that they're not sure they can get a job in the field because rather than having one centralized skill, they have several skills. And they mentioned, having code skills, 3D modeling, art, and level design. This does not sound at all like a handicap to me. In fact, it's reflects my own skills in a way. Though I lean heavily towards the coding these days, I have secondary skills of level design, art, and even 3D I kind of picked up along the way. And it's that kind of skill spread that allowed me to get my first job at an advertising agency who specialized in kind of games and interactive content, because I was then able to be leveraged for various tasks. So don't think of it like a handicap, rather think of it as an opportunity. But it might be a good idea maybe to kind of have a strength in one particular field with secondary skills, A bit like an RPG character, right? You might have a strength build with like dex and then a vitality, but there is one primary skill that makes you distinct. Now, I had another comment that was a little bit unusual, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that it wasn't a troll. And they asked, do you feel bad that you would get a job, learn the skills, and then move on? This comment blew my mind a little bit because this is what's called a career. We further our skills and look for the best opportunities we can, and we keep challenging ourselves and moving around until we can maximize our ability. I mean, this is especially so in the tech space. Developers are always moving around because we get bored, we want new challenges. The day you stop challenging yourself is the day you become complacent and maybe a bad developer. I would certainly not encourage anyone to stay at a company just so you don't hurt their feelings. And I would expect no employer to do that for their employees, to only keep them around out of sentimentality. That's the definition of a toxic relationship right there. And there is, of course, a time and labor exchange, and you are giving up your life effectively. So it's in your best interest to make the best decisions for yourself as a person. It's your life and it's your time. And besides, this transition I spoke of where, you might get a job in the market and start to transition out back into indie dev life or whatever, that transition can take a long time, many years, or maybe it'll never happen if the circumstances aren't quite right. It doesn't mean you're leaving overnight. I've been transitioning now for 10 years. And realistically, I'll probably always be involved in commercial dev in some capacity, whether it's a freelancer or a consultant, or just kind of moving in between the two worlds as the tides change. And that's the beauty of having that foundation. It gives you the flexibility to have a choice. Because the market is uncertain, and indie dev, for all we know it, might become completely unsustainable. Some have already made that claim. So another commenter mentioned that we should be wary of employment contracts and if they even allow us to pursue, extracurricular dev. And that's definitely a thing to consider. I know that Zinger had issues with this, public issues it was a bit of an expose where various employees were fired and there was this whole big dramatic thing in the media. But most reasonable employers will understand that devs like to dev. It's what we do. We like to tinker. And doing so benefits the employer because you're learning new skills that you can bring to them. And not all indie dev has to be commercial in the sense of you shipping games. You can just be involved in game jams, just making mini games for free, just furthering your skills to one day lay that foundation for a future in potentially the market as a self-sustained indie. But of course, you have to be smart and have some common sense about it. If your employer is making a 2D car game, maybe it's not the time for you to be working on a 2D car game. And if a job just doesn't allow you that flexibility to do any kind of extracurricular dev, no hobby projects or anything, then, that's a choice you need to make. To be crystal clear, this is not about competing with an employer or organization. It's about creating a complementary skills exchange, which leads to you having more opportunities and choice in your life as a developer. Let me give you an anecdote. There was a time I worked for a studio that were doing a lot of client work, and I, in my spare time, was working on like a Connect experience, a motion tracking game that I was planning to make commercially viable. Now I completed that game and I showed my employer. I actually made a presentation where I invited everyone into the room and showed them the capabilities of the technology. And by doing so, I empowered the company to offer this skill and technology to their clients. And we did so and it made money for the company. But ultimately, it is up to you to determine if you are in fact allowed to do that kind of work, because some people just won't allow it, and that's just how it is. And if a really meaty opportunity presents itself, then it might be worth considering just putting down the indie stuff for a while and kind of focusing on that and gaining those skills. If you don't get too tangled up in that life, you can come back out and that indie dev will be right there waiting for you. So let me again just confirm the messaging in the previous video so we're all on the same page. My claim is that if you get a job in the field, you can be exposed to skills you wouldn't normally find on Unity forums and things like that. You can expedite your skills growth rapidly while also meeting people, finding good opportunities, and learning the discipline required to ship games and get through dev cycles. All of this while offering some kind of financial growth and stability in your life. And importantly, this situation is not for everyone. And if you already have these boxes ticked, then don't worry. This is a particular path for a particular circumstance for a particular person. I hope you enjoyed this follow-up video. Feel free to leave me some comments, and I doubt I'll do a follow-up onto this, but I might make future videos that kind of tap into some of the comments that you guys might make. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a like if you did, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do drop a like. And thanks to all my Patreon supporters. I appreciate you guys so much.